Testing, testing, 1, 2. Can you hear me? Hoping I'm not too laggy. My my levels on my sound look really weirdly laggy, but I think I'm alright. Alright. So, hopefully, okay, it looks like it's stabilizing. That's awesome. Alrighty. So, what is our, okay. I think I'm ready to go. Alright, so I spent this whole weekend kind of rearranging the shop. Good day. Have a great day. So yeah, I spent the entire weekend rearranging the shop. A little bit tired, but I think overall we're going to have a much better experience here in the shop. I've gotten my sound, I believe, all fixed up, hopefully. But I'm going to show you the new shop. Hopefully you guys can hear me. Hopefully. Let's see. Hey guys, this is Ray, and we are streaming blacksmithing. So this is my new shop arrangement. So I'm pretty excited about it. We were unable to completely finish the shop. So over behind the camera, that direction is a giant pile of junk that we still have to deal with next weekend. But for the time being, we have a functional setup, I guess. So this is the first time I'm using it. Yeah, so I've got a total switcheroo. And yeah, so this is the first time I'm using this particular setup for the shop. So we might have a few areas of scuff here and there, a few like strange transitions and stuff, just because I'm trying to make sure that everything is functional. This is really the first time that I've worked out of this setup. And I had to pull the burner out of the forge in order to move it over here from over there it used to be. So I'm gonna have to re-aim that burner when we do start it up. And then I'm kind of trying to figure out a little bit how well the shot is for the other camera. So hopefully it works pretty well. And yeah, so I also got I think I have my sound taken care of. Let's see. If I do this, you should still be hearing the same sound because the part came in. And so you guys should, in theory, be able to hear me and when I am talking. So hopefully it works. And I'm really excited to share it with you guys. So, the only thing that is not going the way I want is my normal hammer, the 2-pound forging hammer that I normally use. Somehow in the move, the wedge in the top of it, it got lost. So until I can get another wedge in here, I need to like find or make a wedge to put in here. I'm stuck with my 3-pound hammer, so we'll see what happens. Yes, same mic sounds in both sources. Yes, I figured it out. I'm so excited. So I'm glad it's actually functioning because I have been fighting this for way too long. So today my laptop is a little bit further away and I'm kind of half blind. So you're probably going to see me like move out of shot a little bit. I want to figure out a good place to put the laptop, but I haven't, because the rest of the shop isn't all put together. It's kind of a little bit funky, and so we're gonna do the best we can. So I am going to put on my apron, and then I'm going to start up the forge. And like I said, it is going to take me a little bit of adjusting to make sure that the forge is, or like the burner is directed into the forge properly. But we're going to try it. Let's get this forge started. Alrighty. Hopefully everything works out. Of course, this is the one that doesn't have a flint in it. Like I said, we're going to be a tiny bit scuffy today. There we go. Pull those out for the moment. And because I don't really have a shelf for the torch right now, it's just going to live over here on the floor, unfortunately. Okay. It looks like we are aimed relatively well, so that's good. I am going to re-wedge the kale wool inside this hole, and we should be good to go. Excellent. Exciting, exciting. So, aside from rearranging the shop and getting, new sound or better sound quality, we are going to continue on the Tongs project that we've been working on today. So right now what we're going to do is we are going to heat up these guys and start breaking in the material to establish the jaws and the boss. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take under the forge and we're going to squish about here, and we're going to do 3 squishes. So from here to about here. And this material is going to turn into the neck shape. The neck shape of our next set of tongs. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how this goes. We'll do this for now. Put the material in so that we can heat it up. And I'll put this guy over here. Now I'm gonna need to keep a really close eye on the forge because in the move, some of the interior coating of the forge ended up cracking a bit, and I want to make sure that it's not spewing out fire in places that it needs to stay inside. There are a couple cracks along the corners of this forge that release heat if I'm not careful. So I got to make sure that we're paying close attention to the forge today. Well, the material doesn't heat up in the forge. You forgot to turn it on. Well, it is on, but it's got to heat up a little bit. You guys can kind of see it now. Before, you couldn't really see like the actual inside of the forge. But right now, it's still a little on the cold side. So as it heats up, it'll start glowing further. But yeah, we've got it on and we are ready to, well, soon we'll be ready to forge or start forging. So yeah, I can already see I'm gonna have a little bit of a issue with this setup because it's really bright and sunny outside, and there is a vehicle that I can see through the blinds, and the sun is reflecting off of the window and right into my eyes. So I might be standing over here for a little bit today so that I can like avoid that for the moment. So yeah, I've got a lot more space that I can kind of move around, and I'm really, really excited about that because I felt really constricted before because there was so much junk in this shop that it was really difficult to walk around, and I was constantly tripping over things. So we've gotten rid of a whole bunch of junk that I don't need in the shop anymore, and so hopefully, we'll be able to make it more purpose built, I guess, so that it functions a lot better for as both a shop for working and as a set for streaming and YouTube videos. So that is the goal. And overall, I think it looks pretty good. I do feel like it's very heavily weighted in this direction because we have like the post vise and the hammer rack, and we also have the press over here. But over here, all we really have to look at is like the forge itself. So back here, I figured we were talking about doing a project wall, and so I figured that we're going to use this little corner over here for our project wall. And so as like next weekend, I will be able to hang up some of the projects. I just got to make sure that this wall is going to be sturdy enough because it's like the back section, I think it's actually MDF and it's kind of falling apart. So I'm thinking that I might need to replace that this weekend. We'll see if I can hang stuff or not. But yeah, we'll definitely hang the paper clip back there, and then I also want to make a sign. So our next project is going to be a sign, and we're going to do like a Ray's Smithy sign. So I want the Ray's part to be like a light, and then the Smithy part, every letter we're going to create as a project on a day. So there'll be an S day, an M day, and then we'll kind of design each of the letters so that it's a different blacksmithing technique every day and every letter. Junk or potential projects, yep. I do have a new angle. I'm very happy with it. Like I said, it's much more purpose built for both working and streaming. So I have this whole section here for blacksmithing, and then I'm starting to kind of build myself a little welding area over in this area. And over there, where I had all of my scrap material on the floor, and there's like a whole bunch of shelves over there that are like covered in like screws and fixtures of all sorts of things. So we're gonna actually turn that into the scrap yard and like the new stock area. So we're gonna hang our stock on the wall and like make all kinds of stuff so that overall it's a very much more functional shop, and I'll just be able to turn the cameras around and then and start welding, or turn the cameras and we can start picking pieces of metal up. Or, it'll be easier for me to show you guys how I use the chop saw to cut my stock to length. So overall, I'd like to be able to expand what we do here at, Ray's Smithy. And then behind me, there's this set of double doors. And inside of there is actually what I consider my cold shop. That's where I have my jeweler's bench, and it has a lot of my sheet metal forming stuff. So like all my stakes for making bowls and things like that. So I got to clean up that area too, and maybe we'll start working in there a little bit more as well. Eventually, I'd like to open this door so you can kind of see the back wall. I have a couple shelves there that have some interesting projects back there that I would definitely like to show you guys. If it's MDF, it will be mounted on studs. You make be able to screw battens on the studs and hang the projects from the battens. Yeah, that is what I'm kind of planning on doing. Is if if this is like if it is falling apart MDF like I think it is, what we might actually do is find the studs and then just start putting in like pieces of wood that kind of, go horizontally across it, so I can just kind of find spaces to screw into or hammer into. We'll be able to make it work regardless, but it might take me a little bit of extra time than I had wanted to do originally. I thought that I would just be able to put them in there, but when I tried to put or hang up the metal backing here, it just fell right out. So I had to kind of staple it on for the time being. So I want to make sure that that's available, or like I'm able to actually get things to stay up there permanently. So I'm really excited about making our project wall. And I will be doing some point redemptions about that wall. So you guys will be able to pick different letters that need to go up there. I have a plan where if you guys want to replace, or if you guys don't like the way one of our letters turned out, you can, redeem your points and replace that letter, and then maybe we'll auction it off and you guys can have it. So, or some of the other projects. If you're tired of seeing a project, we might auction it off. So that is the goal. So little bit. Looks like the forge is starting to heat up a little bit. Our material is starting to get warm. I think we can probably start. So let's see if I can make this function. I'm going to turn this on and record this one just so that I have like a recording of what it looks like real fast. All right, let's see if I can do this. Is everything plugged in? It would be really embarrassing if it wasn't actually plugged in. It looks like it is. I totally screwed that one up. Alright, so right now we are establishing the neck area of the Tong. And I hope you guys can hear me. I tried really hard to get the microphone taken care of. So I kind of screwed up a little bit and I mashed the end of this Tong. Alright. Interesting. Alright guys, let me know what you thought about that. Was that an alright view? I also have opinions on MDF and LDF, also known as particle board and chipboard. I also like solid wood. I hate MDF. If I can manage it. Yeah, that worked fine. Excellent. Thank you, Mahalo. I'm still kind of like figuring this whole setup out, and I wanted to make sure that you guys can see really well what I'm up to. So I'm a little bit on the distracted side, but I think it'll be all right. The one thing that bothers me a little bit is when I was using the press, the floor is kind of shaking a little bit because I've got the air compressor going and it's shaking because, I mean, it's got the belt engine going and it's sort of like shaking a little bit, and I don't think I felt it over there like I do here. So I'm not entirely sure what that means. I think overall it will be okay, but I will ask around and see if that will become a problem. It shouldn't. Remember, it's not a mistake. It's a unique handmade artisan item, one of a kind. Thanks for that. I think I'm a little bit on the... I'm overthinking a lot of things right now because I'm just trying to make sure that everything is functioning correctly. But it's all right. All right, that should be good too. Overall, I think I'm okay. Turn that up a little bit. It looks like it's taking a little bit of extra time to heat up. So, yeah, I'm pretty happy with our new setup. My only concern at this point is now that the air compressor kind of shakes a little bit, like the floor, it kind of vibrates a bit. It makes me wonder if, like, there is less, or if like an animal has dug underneath of the foundation in that area. So hopefully that's not the case. But yeah, I think it'll be all right. It's a very clean setup. If you can get some half-inch vulcanized rubber sheet and put it under the compressor, even as pads under the corners, that just take up some of the vibration instead of putting it onto the floor. So basically build dampeners. That is a great idea. That's definitely something that we can do very quickly and easily. And that will take a lot of the shake out of the air compressor. It is definitely the air compressor that is shaking the floor. And if I did put like, you know, like the floor mat under it, it would not cause any issues with the functionality of the air compressor itself. And the air compressor is sitting far enough away from the press that any of the fire scale that falls off of the material should not fall onto it. So that is a great idea. Thank you for that one. Hockey pucks. Yeah. Should make things a lot easier and save the floor. Because, I mean, if for whatever reason there is like an animal burrow under there, you know, it will take some of that shake away and then it won't crack the foundation as badly. But I mean, it also could be that there's the furnace that's sitting behind the air compressor. So I mean, it might just be that there's, you know, they had to dig into the foundation for the furnace. And right now that furnace does not function. There's something weird going on with like the gas line, so it's not getting any gas, so I can't light the pilot on it or anything. So I need to get somebody out here to take a look at it. Yeah, that makes sense. And then I do, like I said, I do need to kind of, I want to go outside at the end of the stream just to see if there's any like burrows or anything over on that side of the shop. I'll have to like go out and take a look. If I can see any holes or anything, I might be able to like fill them with like a construction foam or something like that too, if that's a thing that I need to do. But it would be nice to be able to, or it is nice being able to work in a much larger area. I feel like it could just stretch all over the place and I don't have to run into anything. So I'm really happy. It was a lot of effort this weekend, but I think it was definitely worth it. Let's see. The only thing is I gotta figure out a different way to set up my laptop. It's like right here. And I feel like it's hard to see from over here, like to read the messages because I am getting old and, you know, I need my reading glasses. I've made the font as big as it will let me. So I gotta figure out a way to like, you know, I gotta figure out if I can like increase it like you can with like Google Chrome. You can kind of just like blow stuff up. I gotta figure out if I can do that with my chat. And so I will work with that. Just remember, this workshop, is, as it is right now, is like an empty shelf on the house. It won't stay empty for long. Exactly, man. And the more tools I get, the more I will just shove them places. So I was just talking to my partner while we were rearranging the shop, and I said that part of the reason why I always felt so cramped in this shop is because I felt like when I moved into this shop, I moved in on top of the stuff that was already existing within this building. The previous owner was a woodworker, and he left a lot of tools and like just random pieces of scrap wood just laying around everywhere. And I just kind of put all of my stuff on top of that. So what we've been doing is we've actually taken everything out of this room and strategically started placing stuff and getting rid of things that I don't need anymore. So it's kind of like this is the area that is completed, and we've started completing the area along this wall, but this whole corner over here is just like a bunch of garbage because we couldn't leave it out in the carport because we need to park throughout the week there. So next weekend we get to tackle that area, and hopefully I can organize myself so that everything has a place. So when I get new stuff, there will be plenty of more places for that. Just remember, this is a good tip. If you ever need to get rid of anything, never put it outside and say free. Always put it outside for sale. People will steal it if they think they're getting something for nothing, even if they're not, or you're not bothered by them stealing it. But if you put it out for free, they'll think what is wrong with it. That makes sense. It's like porch pirates, right? They're like, what's in there? What's in the package? And so they steal it. But if it's like, you know, a garbage bag or something, you know, they're not going to take that. At least I don't, you know, most of them aren't. Okay, let's do another heat real fast. Let me take a look at my camera. And I'm going to do that. And we'll do this. Let's see if I can manage this.
And back at the forge it goes. All right. When someone does offer you a few dollars, it's a win. Exactly. Hey, Dan. I've gotten rid of several unwanted appliances by putting them out on the curb and hanging a $5 or $10 sign with a note to put the money in the mailbox, which is 2 steps away. That makes a lot of sense. But I also kind of feel a little bit bad because I have my previous air compressor and a non-functional heater that I need to get rid of. So we were planning on taking it to the junkyard because they aren't useful and they don't work. So I don't know. I would feel a little bit bad about just leaving them and having people pay me to take away, my unwanted pieces of equipment that don't even work. Scrap people love that. Oh, do they? I mean, I have myself considered cutting the engine off of the previous air compressor and then using like just the tank because it would make a really amazing like smelting kiln. And I had to get rid of my last smelting kiln because I didn't have any room inside the shop for it. So I had to leave it out under the carport, and the rain just got into it, and it melted all of the refractory wool. And I was never able to get enough refractory cement to line it anyway. So, I mean, it was probably not a good thing to keep around anyway. So, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, if I put it out and someone takes it, someone takes it, I guess. I guess $5 for, scrap metal that they can take to the scrapyard is, they're still making money there. Yeah, air tanks are useful by themselves. In the UK, you have to pay the scrappers to take the stuff away. Yeah, here too. Like, you have to kind of hire someone to take your scrap away. They've got, like, just several different companies that you can call up and they'll take your scrap away from you, but you actually have to pay them for it. It's like 150 to 200 bucks depending on who it is. So, I mean, that's a lot of money to have people haul stuff away. I've got my own truck. I could totally take it up to, the junkyard myself, But then I also have a TV, and the junkyard doesn't want to take the TV. Like, it's an old CRT one. So, I mean, it's hardly anybody will take those these days. In the UK, oh yeah, bury the TV. Bury it? How do you bury a TV? Isn't it like, I guess there's no chemicals in it or anything. I guess it's an idea, but not something that I would have thought of. I don't know. I'll ask about it. I've got a lot of yard, but yeah. I feel like maybe the forge is not heating up quite as much as I want it to. It might be because, like I said, is it not shooting out correctly? Will that help me? So when I moved the forge, I actually have an engine hoist, and I attached 2 ratchet straps around 2 sides of the forge, and then I took the engine hoist belt and I stuck it through the ratchet straps, and I used the engine hoist to bring it over here. But in order to do that, I had to take the burner out of it, and so I have to realign the burner so that it functions correctly again. And it doesn't seem to be wanting to work out exactly the way I wanted it to at the moment. Seems like it's all right, but it looks a tiny bit cold. Is the back of the forge blocked too? Yes, the back of the forge is blocked. I I have a hexagon or like a trapezoid block at the top, and then I have a removable, just regular brick at the back. So that way I can remove it if I need to do through stock. But yeah, I don't know. I got to figure out. Normally, I also keep a wedge in the front, and that's probably really what it is, because I usually keep a wedge in the front, so I have wedges going like this, so that all of the cycling heat won't go immediately out. It'll kind of like shoot down. So I think if I do this, it might help a bit. I usually like to do this a little bit better when I have a cold when I have a cold forge as opposed to a hot forge. If I take that over there, there we go. That might work a little bit better. There we go. Hey, it's already starting to get warmer in there. That's good. Set the TV at the edge of the hole and shoot it, then bury it. There's nothing dangerous in a CRT TV like mercury or lead or anything. Okay. Oh, ads were running while I was answering. Okay. Yeah, the back is blocked. I have a trapezoidal shaped brick that's wedged into the top. So overall, my forge is a hexagon shape. And the reason I did that is so that it would the heat would vortex in there a little bit better. And so I have a trapezoid brick at the top. So the bottom is open, and I have just a regular brick that I can just set there to block it. But it's removable so that I can put through pieces of material in there when I have long pieces. So it works really well normally. And I think it's working a lot better now that I put that extra wedge brick in there. I usually run 2 wedge bricks so that I have a circular vortex going in there on all of the sides. So as the fire spins, it'll heat up a little bit better. Okay, every gas forge is different, but if you block both doors, you don't allow the exhaust gas to escape, causing cold spots in the forge. You have to let gas out. I know people feel like they are holding it in, but what is happening is you trap exhausted gases. Oh, and then I have a bot. Let's take care of this bot real fast. All right. Did it ban them? I think it did. So yeah, the bottom brick is it sits there in such a way that there is actually room for the gas to escape out the top between the trapezoidal brick and the bottom brick. It's not a complete closure. Yeah. And let's get rid of that. Food time. Medivs. Thank you for the lurk. All right, and it's getting a lot hotter in there. I think I really just needed that wedge. If you want a really good explanation, you can call the good folks at Chili Forge, who explain all that to me in a much more scientific manner. They recommend that smiths never block the ports on their forges. Yeah. I have talked to the people at Chili Forge. They are my recommended forge, but I am not rich enough to get a Chili Forge as of right now. If I made a little bit more money on commissioned work, I had almost purchased one back before I got sick because I was taking more and more commission work, and getting a really good forge is really important because it's efficient and it just functions a lot better than a lot of the homemade ones or like the Amazon ones. So I wanted to get one, but I didn't have the money at the time, and then I got sick, and so it's still they're great forges. They're great forges, but they're a little on the expensive side. And I gotta save my pennies. I'll get one eventually. I save far more in gas expenses than the difference in the cost of my forges. Yeah, and it's so much more efficient than this behemoth that I have here. Eventually, I will get one. It's just I gotta, you know, save the money. But yes, much more efficient now that I have that front wedge. Sensation Seppa. Heyo, which do you guys is cheaper to run, or think is cheaper to run, gas or coal? That definitely depends on where you are. I can buy coal relatively cheap, but it is more difficult for me to get coal because my local supply store stopped carrying it, so I have to go into Missouri as the next closest coal supply. Whereas it is more convenient for me to run gas because I have a lot of gas around. Like I use barbecue pigs, so I just exchange them at my local hardware store. But yeah, a lot of it is where you're located. Because sometimes, coal is a little bit more expensive in certain areas. It's a little less expensive in other areas. Overall, coal is theoretically cheaper. But I mean, I think it's kind of location dependent. Yeah, it all depends on where in the country you are. If you're close to coal source, it can be affordable. Propane is about $1 a pound for me as well in this area, but I think I live pretty close to Dan. So yeah. So more use, what's available locally? Yeah, pretty much. And I mean, if you're really looking for a way to get cheap fuel, you can actually make charcoal or run your forge, and you can make charcoal from just trees. Like if you have a forest on your property, obviously don't go poaching trees on like public property or other people's property. But I mean, if you have trees on your property or like someone gives you trees, you can actually create charcoal and run a forge on that. It's a little harder to run, and it creates a little bit of weird ash. But I mean, it works pretty well. I mean, it burns relatively clean. I actually currently use charcoal, and I basically buy grilling charcoal at the moment. I don't know that I would go so far as to buy grilling charcoal because I feel like grilling charcoal is a lot more expensive than it would be to buy either coal or propane with the amount that you would be using. But I mean, I could be wrong depending on your location. So, I mean, that's my 2 cents. I use propane because of the way I work. I usually multitask while I'm in the shop. If I use coal coke, I would burn my steel too frequently. Yes, I totally agree, and that is why I use propane in the forge while I am forging. I mean, that's why I use propane while I'm streaming, because we'll get to talking about stuff, and it'll be like 20 minutes between when I take the metal out of the the forge to do my heats, right? So if we were on coal, Dan is right. It would actually melt into the bottom of the clinker breaker, and I wouldn't have a project anymore. Whereas a propane forge, the way it works is that it always gets just almost to that melting point, but it never tips over. So you can do really good forge welds in you can still do good forge welds in a gas forge, but you can't, or it's a lot harder to melt your steel in a propane forge. Mahalo, ask a tree service. They will deliver scrap limbs. Otherwise, you'll have to pay to get rid of it. Yeah. I talk a lot too. If someone is with me and I burn up my steel because I'm too chatty, you just need finer airflow adjuster. Yeah, I don't really. I don't have a great airflow adjuster. It's just I don't really bother with it. This is like the same, my first burner. I just keep changing the actual forge itself. But I mean, like I said, you can do forge welds in a coal or in a propane forge, but it is a lot harder to melt steel in one. So it's just, I like it a little bit better. So like I said, I'm a little bit on the blind side, so I'm having to like really look at the comments so that I could get close so I could read them. All right, we've got plenty of heat in this guy, so I'm going to go back to the press. It helps when I press the correct button. So I'm really, really excited that I finally was able to get my microphone working correctly. So I hope you guys can actually still hear me. I can barely hear me, but theoretically you guys should be able to hear me pretty decently. So right now we are creating that neck shape on our bolt tong. Whoa. Maybe. This is why I'm making a set of universal tongs, because I can barely hold anything with them. Anyway, right here I'm creating the jaws of these tongs, and right here is going to be the boss section. And the boss section is that area where you put the rivet in your tongs. So we're kind of trying to establish this neck section here, right here. And that's what we're currently doing. You can put 4 to 5 pieces of steel in the gas forge and not worry about how long I work each piece, knowing I won't burn up my steel. Yeah, that is the case. A lot of times before I got sick, I liked to work with 2 pieces of steel at once. So one was in the fire, one was on the anvil or on the press, depending on what I was working with at the time. And then when I was done with that piece, I'd switch them. So then there was no dead time when I was doing production work. And it's really convenient that way. But there are times when I need a coal forge for some oddly shaped piece that won't fit in the door of my gas forge. So then I might consider using an oxyacetylene gas torch before getting out my farrier's forge. Getting a fire going and dealing with the smoke, I usually choose my oxyacetylene torch. Yeah, I mean, I also have a coal forge. Overall, like, if I was choosing coal or propane, honestly, I almost always I would choose coal first, just because you can get a lot more fine-tuned heating. So, like, while anything that's inside the mouth of the forge is going to get hot, I can actually choose how big or small I want my coal forge or my coal fire to be. So I can sit here and I can make a little tiny area of my piece heated, and the rest of it stays nice and coolish. So, like, if I'm trying to do a specifically like a twist, or if I'm trying to do a rivet or something, I can heat exactly where I want it. So there are so many like benefits of using a coal forge as opposed to a gas forge. It's just the gas right now is a lot more convenient for me because I have an indoor shop, and I don't have a flume for a coal forge, because I just don't have a place to cut a hole in the wall or the ceiling. So with the gas forge, I can open up my garage door, which is back there, or I can open up this door right here, which is wide open. And then I've got plenty of ventilation and airflow going in between. So it's kind of like there are benefits and drawbacks to both gas and coal. I got a bunch of firewood to haul before supper, so I got to lurk. Glad your new shop arrangement is working well for you. See you next time. Have a good rest of your day, Mahalo. I'll see you later. So yeah, it's been working pretty well so far. This is my first time playing around in this new configuration of the shop. And I was also able to get my sound worked out finally. It was just this little tiny piece, like an adapter that I needed to fix my sound. And we all knew that it was going to be something really simple this whole time. But it's like this little thing that turns it's like shaped like a Y. So on one end, it's got female plugs for a microphone jack and a separate speaker jack, and then they go into a male universal jack. So that goes into my headphone jack in the laptop, and it's working beautifully now. So, like I said, I hope that you guys can hear me while I'm at the press now. Hey, Dark, good evening. How are you today? Yeah, Forge is heating pretty nicely now. I'm going to turn this off for the moment and start a new clip real fast. Home finally. Black helicopter. Maybe. I don't know. If I unplug it, I'm afraid that when I plug it back in, OBS won't acknowledge it, so I'm not going to unplug it. But yeah, it's like a little Y-shaped piece. But yeah, being home again is great. I'm a little on the tired side today because I did spend so much time over the weekend working on inside the shop. I think we ended up spending about 9 hours total rearranging things, and that's just a lot of stamina for me, and I just didn't get to like rest. So I'm a little on the tired side. So I'll probably keep us down to 2.5 hours, which is our minimum time, but we will definitely be back on Wednesday, hopefully for 3 hours. And then I will get some rest tomorrow. One of the best helicopters money can buy is a Sikorsky. I'm not sure I'm catching what you're putting down, Dan. I don't think I understand that comment. But yeah, I am going to do another heat, and I'll see if I can't understand it. Oh, it was referencing Dark's name. Oh, okay, that makes sense. Yeah, that's good. All right, I'm gonna do another heat real fast, and then we can talk some more. Oh, that makes sense. That makes a lot more sense now. Of course, I dropped my lever. Alrighty. I guess I stitched it together from liking the Black Hawk Down or my dark sarcastic personality. It's always interesting listening to people talk about how they got their usernames. I think my username on Twitch is relatively easily understood because I'm Ray and this is my Smithy, but my my gamer tag is a little bit, it's a little boring, but it's a little bit clever at the same time. My gamer tag is Raygun, so I'm Ray, but Reagan is a name, and a ray gun like pew pew is like a space age weapon, and I thought it was kind of interesting, so that's how I got my gamer tag. I love hearing people's stories though. There are so many interesting ways that people have gotten gamer tags and like names for Twitch and stuff. But yeah. Wait a little bit longer on that, heating that piece of metal. Mine is directly from smithing. Sanatin Sepa. Now you may be confused with the Australian breakdancer. I might be confused with the Australian breakdancer. I mean, I kind of feel like I had my gamer tag long before Raygun was at the Olympics, but I'm not sure who had it first because I'm pretty sure that the breakdancer has been dancing for a while. I mean, I've had my gamer tag for about 15 years, so I don't know. I kind of feel like it's up in the air who's had it first. I translate it to wordless smith as opposed to wordsmith. Ooh, that is an interesting way. I used to work for a hospital, and we had our own rescue helicopter, and it was a Sikorsky, and it was blazing fast. Always loved seeing that thing fly. Yeah, there's like a lot of helicopters in this area too. My partner works for a news station, and they used to have a helicopter that they would do like traffic and stuff with. And occasionally they'd put it up in the sky when like something really important was happening. But they were renting it, and it was a relatively expensive rental. So they eventually got rid of it when they got drones. So a lot of the stuff that they used to do with the helicopter, they now do with drones. But obviously, medevac cannot be done with drones. At least not with the the type of drones that we normally associate. I have heard that there are certain countries in Africa who are starting to use drones for like getting medical supplies from a supplier to the hospitals, and they've been talking about seeing if they can't make patient transport work in a similar way. So that's really interesting to take a look at. Next time you see a Sanatan, be sure to say hi to him and not hello or Terv, which means welcome in Sumi, Finnish. Though technically my name guide a little bit closer to Polish, General Władysław, though that was unintentional. That makes sense. Man, you guys are putting me through a lot with this pronunciation stuff. I mean, last Friday, you guys were trying to get me to read German, and now we've got like Polish and other languages. Finnish. That's all right. I try. I do my best, but I know that my accent is really bad. So I apologize for that. For butchering people's languages. And just in case, as a bit of a reminder, I'm not Polish. I thought that you were somewhere in. Did you not? All right, you'll have to remind me where you're from because I don't want to like assume and then get it wrong again. Fun thing is, I come from a lineage of blacksmiths. My great-great-grandpa was a blacksmith. Oh, just north of Poland. Okay. When my grandpa was young, he didn't learn the skills and went to become an officer in the army instead. Yeah, so it is awesome that you're keeping the craft in the family line. My biological father is a farrier, or like he was trained as a farrier. So there's a part of me that I am, sort of keeping up with family tradition a little bit too. He did horseshoes, and that's not something that I do. But I mean, it's the anvil and the forge, So it's really interesting to be able to keep up with family traditions like that. Unfortunately, I'm the only one and recently learned from under another master smith instead of having it learned from this family. Well, I mean, there is, something to, the ancestral knowledge, or at least some people say there is. But it's interesting. I mean, there's a lot of people that they revive old family crafts because they just get interested in it from like studying history of their family, and that history has been, or that skill or craft has been lost through time, but then they revive it. Oh, I won't further torture you. I'm Czech. Oh, okay. Yes. Czech is a place that I am aware of, sort of. I used to actually have a friend who was Czech. So, yeah. Don't ask me to speak the language or anything. I didn't teach me any of that, but yeah. I've had a couple friends who were from Czechoslovakia and then a couple Bosnian friends. We all worked together at a grocery store. So it was interesting learning all of the different things that they had to teach me. And they brought their cultural cuisine, and that was always, very interesting tasting. So it looks like we are at an ad right now, so I'm going to wait a little bit longer until that timer times out, and then we're going to do another heat. Don't worry, I know our language is complicated for others. Yeah, there are a lot of complicated languages. But I mean, I don't really have a lot of background in a lot of other languages besides English anyway. I did take Spanish when I was in high school and college, but I feel like there was a time where I was almost fluent, but by now I don't have any of that. Because I never had anybody to speak with. And I kind of feel like you lose a language if you don't have anyone to immerse yourself and speak it with. So it would be amazing if I could still speak Spanish, but I just can't. And it's kind of a shame. It would be like Chinese or Japanese for me. Don't worry, when I listen to Hansa, I hear a mix of language origins. Czech is a challenge. Yeah, it really is. Okay, I'm going to do another heat real fast, and we can keep on talking. I really want to find a good place to put the computer and the control, but I haven't quite figured that one out yet. Because I feel like I am kind of all up in a weird position when I'm messing with the computer. So I have to work on that. The other major thing that I'd like to do and work on for the stream is I feel like it's kind of dim lighting-wise in here. It would be nice if I could set up some, brighter light. So we're starting to get a good neck in there. We've got a really nice area here where we've established the jaws, and it's a little bit muddy over here where we've established the boss. But I think that once we get really going, we will be able to fix that and really establish that in. So I'm pretty happy with what we've done so far. Haven't seen Hansa stream in a long while. Have you seen him lately, Dark? Yeah, I haven't actually seen him stream in a while. I have him on follow, so occasionally I'll check out his VODs to see if I can't, see anything interesting going on. But I haven't seen anything yet recently. It's a Slavic language branch, so for me it's fairly easy to understand Slavics or Poles. Down south it would be a bit complicated towards east. Well, yes and no. That makes sense. So I follow a webcomic creator, and he is Slavic, and so he's got a webcomic of Slavic mythological creatures. So I've been learning a lot about Slavic myths recently, and it's been rather interesting. It's been a little bit since he's released a new one, but it's one of my favorite comics that he's done. He's got about 5 or 6 different comics, but occasionally, because he does a lot of streaming as well. So when he's streaming, occasionally he'll slip into Slavic when he's speaking to his wife, and it's interesting sounding. So yeah, I would say his name. It's normally he says it as Steven Sijic, but it's spelled completely different than that. Because like even his first name Steven, it's got a J in it, and I wouldn't even begin to know how to pronounce it like the true pronunciation, the not Americanized version. Yeah, his channel is called Korean Nature. Um, but yeah, I haven't seen it live in a while, so I hope they're okay over there. There's a lot of things that have been going on in a lot of different people's countries and lives. So hopefully it's just we've been busy and have to focus on other stuff besides streaming, and we'll be back when everything gets taken care of. Because I do so much appreciate watching all of the different blacksmiths and crafters that stream over on Twitch, or like here on Twitch. I've also been looking forward to the point when Yankee can get back out into the shop. He's been playing video games for quite a while, so I'm hoping that soon he'll be able to get out and do his planting and get back out into the shop. Well, Hansa is a diminutive of Jan. As for the pronunciation of his name, Hansa and his wife are both blacksmiths and create some very interesting art. They really do. They also have like some jewelry that I've seen on their channel, because they've got like that revolving like little picture where it kind of revolves and has different projects. It's really interesting. All right, I'm gonna do another heat real fast. The Y would be the pronunciation of a Czech J. Okay. So maybe it would be like Stepien. Possibly. Usually he just simplifies it to Stephen, because it's a lot easier for Americans to say, or English speakers to say. But there's a part of me that always wants to learn the correct pronunciation, because I kind of feel like you shouldn't have to change your name just because it's hard for somebody to pronounce. I mean, we have learned to pronounce all sorts of names and words and things in English. So I don't I would rather pronounce people's names in the correct pronunciation, as long as I can. So yeah. Yeah, I think it's kind of dark here. Before when we were flipped around, I had so much light coming through the garage door windows that I didn't feel like I didn't feel like it was as dark as it is now. I mean, I've got a light over there, and I have a light right above the camera over there, but I kind of feel like I need some more light shining back here on me. And I just don't get enough when the garage door is open. So I don't know. Maybe I will have to get some more lights. I know that, like I said, I want to put one up here right above the forge on the project wall. I want to make a sign, and that'll be a light. But I think that I want that to be like a programmable LED light. So we can change the color of the sign, or we can program it to make rainbow patterns and things like that. I think that would be really cool. But I think I need more white light coming in this direction. So I think that's another thing that I'd like to work on to increase the quality of the visuals of the stream. Say it like this, Yan. Just imagine having a J there. Okay. I don't know. I think the lighting is good. Okay. I don't know. I feel like when I look at the little picture on my computer, it just looks a little on the dark side. Try looking around. Maybe you'll find light, bright Sikorsky to level the things. I mean, it could be. But yeah, I don't know. I just think that, like, overall, I mean, you can definitely see me, but I kind of feel like overall the colors are very muted as of right now with the stream. And I think adding more lights would kind of increase the contrast, maybe, of the colors of the stream. And I know that's really nitpicky, but I'm trying to slowly improve even the little minor improvements, of the quality can increase, watchability. And when we do like a whole bunch of like little improvements, then overall the quality gets higher and higher. So I never want to stop. It's actually a good shot composition. A little more light is good thing, but the image is really good. Well, I'm glad that the image is really good. I did actually spend a lot of time with the camera, like just coming up with, how I wanted it to be set up. Like every piece of equipment was deliberately placed in the position that it is because and I had composition and weight, like visual weight in mind when I created it. So, like I said, this side of the screen I feel like is really heavy. It's very heavily weighted with the press and the hammers and the post vise. And I think we've got the anvil in the center and that's really solid. But I feel like there's a little bit more that we could add over here to kind of give a little bit more weight to this side of the screen. So I'm really hoping that by adding the project wall, we'll give some visual weight over to this side. Looks good to me, not too bright or too dark. All right, well, that's good. Hopefully it'll work out then. Okay. All right, I already talked about that. So I'm kind of looking down. I have my script on the floor leaning up against the camera, or like the tripod. So, and then I just noticed, and I really should be actually like making shots and like talking about the points that I had on my board, like for my scripty stuff, so that I can kind of explain what's going on.
And I need to, okay, so I talked about that and I talked about that. So I think I'm all right. I think I'm back on track. I should probably talk about establishing the boss of and the jaws of the tongs a little bit further, but I think I'll be okay. Don't be afraid of asymmetry. Yeah, I'm not really afraid of asymmetry. We have a lot of asymmetry. I just, I'm mostly concerned about visual weight, right? So there's so much going on over here that you guys are looking, or well, maybe you guys aren't, but my eyes gravitate towards this side, and I feel like I'd like to give a little bit more visual weight over here. It doesn't have to be the exact same amount of visual weight, just a little bit further so that your eye is drawn more to this toward the center. And I think the door actually helps quite a bit with that because it's got that nice, visual weight in the center of the frame. So we'll get a few more projects over here, and it'll definitely be asymmetrical. But I think it'll be interesting to look at. I want there to be interesting things to see everywhere. And right now I've got this nice blank wall, and I think that we could definitely fill it with some of the projects that we do together on stream. I'm drawn toward the glowy thing. Ooh, shiny. It is glowy. It's very shiny. I like it quite a lot. And I mean, because, it is so bright, it is, drawing people's eyes toward that direction. So, all right, let's draw some people's eyes to the press. Come on. Turn on. We're getting a good amount of lengthening happening right now. So we've got our nice jaws all nice and established in there. And then that boss is established. And now what we're doing now is creating, or we're drawing down that neck shape. And we're getting a lot of length, which is good because we need it in order to wrap that into more of a circular shape. And it'll make it a lot easier to do that if it's longer. Yes, but the eye is drawn to that yellow apron, so the balance of the shot is fine, but the eye is drawn to the apron first, and then the anvil, and then the forge. Okay. See, when I was framing the shot, I wasn't standing here, so what I was seeing was just the door and all of the equipment on this side and the unlit forge. So, I mean, maybe it's going to be a lot better. I will definitely be checking the VOD to kind of see how the shot looks. So I am open to suggestions, If it's good, it's good, We are up to an hour and a half already. Jeez.
I feel like I'm constantly losing time when we're in the shop, and that is such a good thing, because by losing time, I'm gaining more strength and stamina, because normally I couldn't lose time because I just get so exhausted so quickly. But lately I've just been losing time talking to you guys, and it's been great because, when I don't know how long it's been, I feel like I've just gotten out here. That's a good thing. Keep myself fresh. Maybe you need a power hammer in your shop. At least if you had a power hammer, you wouldn't worry about vibrations from the compressor. That is so true, because then I would be worried about, the vibrations from the power hammer and it shifting around, or, vibrating the foundation of the shop and or the house, you know? So when you do get a power hammer, it is suggested that you put it on a very deep pad of concrete so that it doesn't shake up the foundation of your shop. Um, what I have actually heard is a 4-foot thick pad. And I really think that part of that is, how big your power hammer is, because if it's larger, then you're going to need more concrete. And if it's smaller, then you're probably going to need less. But yeah, 4 feet is the average that I have heard from a lot of smiths that I've talked to about a power hammer. And I just can't really modify the pad of this shop. So I am stuck with just a press until I am able to move shop locations, which is in the cards eventually, but it's probably more like a 5-year plan thing as opposed to, like a 1 or 2 year plan. My 6-inch shop floor is just fine for my little giant. I have considered that. A lot of people do have their little giants on just like the regular floor. But I don't know that. I'm not sure how thick my floor is. But I mean, normally they are about 6 inches, so I doubt that it is any less than that. So I don't know. I think that I could have a little giant in here, especially like a 25-pound one. But I just, I haven't found a good one that I wouldn't have to fix up. But I'd really like, a really good one. Sure, you could. Yeah. I don't know. I just gotta acquire one. I have actually been looking for them. The other day I found what was it? Was it a 75 or 100-pound ram? But it was in, where was it? I think it was in Nevada for like $2,000, and I was like, ooh, that's a really good deal. It was actually relatively large for that price. I really wanted it, but then we would have to, ship it here, and my partner's like, not this time. Maybe sometime in the future. Oh, restoring is actually pretty easy, and it helps you keep it in tune if you do the restoration yourself. Also, there's an annual workshop given by the Little Giant guys in Nebraska. Well worth the money. Well, when I'm ready to get a power hammer, I will definitely look into that. For the moment, my press has been doing pretty decent. But yeah, I'll eventually get one. I think I missed a comment, maybe. Let me look real fast. Oh, what do you mean you don't want a power hammer on the second floor? Yeah, I definitely don't really want a power hammer on the second floor. So I used to play this game called Elder Scrolls Online, and it's an MMO based in the same universe as Skyrim, the game Skyrim. and there was this blacksmith shop that was on the second floor of a building in this desert zone called Craglord, and you could talk to the blacksmith up on the second floor, and he'd be like, yeah, I know what you're thinking, a second floor blacksmith shop. I must be crazy. And I think about that every once in a while. I kind of feel like I wouldn't want to, but if you were really careful and judicious about where you placed your equipment, you could probably run one for a little while at least. All right, another heat. So I'm going to come over here, and it looks like we're starting to get a little bit of a curve, so I'm going to straighten it out a bit on the anvil. Woo! I don't do a lot of I haven't in the past done a lot of forging over here, so. The tiles on this side haven't actually gotten that many burn marks or scorch marks from dropping heated metal on them. Yeah, it's all good. I found oh, did you know what happens if you put a power hammer on the second floor? You end up getting a power hammer from the first floor. Exactly. I mean, I do think that it would be a problem. I don't think that I would make a blacksmith shop with a power hammer on it on a second floor. But if I was just doing hand stuff, I mean, it would still be really inconvenient, and it's not recommended. I found my 25-pound little giant in a tree line, all rusted up and needing restoration. I bought it for $110 and spent $150 for the class I attended and about $400 in new parts. So I'd say I have about $2,000 into it, and my hammer and I could easily sell it for $4.5. Wow. Yeah, I should definitely look into doing something like that. There was I swear there was like a sale around here at one point where there was a person that I saw on Craigslist that was selling a bunch of blacksmithing equipment. That was probably about 7 years ago, though. So I don't know. I should look it up. But I also don't really have, a couple $1,000s laying around right this moment. So it's not something that's out of the realm of possibility, but it's kind of something that I would need to, alert my financial planner about in advance. So yeah, it's possible. It's just, and it's not unfeasible. It's just not something that I have been actively looking at the moment. I'm still kind of like trying to decide what sort of setup that I'm, trying to do. I kind of feel like I probably have a space for a power hammer. If I wanted one, I could make space for it. I could, make the funds for it happen. I just haven't really been in the market for it at the moment. I can honestly say I don't have a couple of thousand pennies lying around at the moment. Yeah, I don't have a couple thousand pennies lying around at the moment, but I I have some savings. It's just kind of like, we try to keep those earmarked for, emergency funds in case stuff happens. Like not Friday, as in, 3 days ago Friday, but a week ago Friday, we had a tree come down. So I usually try and keep my, our savings so that if stuff like that happens, we can kind of get that taken care of. And the only reason that we're not taking care of the tree ourselves is because it's actually like actively, hanging over at almost a horizontal over top of the neighbor's fence. So we feel like we need to get somebody who can actually like properly take it down. We can't just like chop it down ourselves. All right. So I'm really grateful that it doesn't look like my propane tank is freezing up right now. Usually by this point it starts freezing up, but I kind of have the rest of my propane tanks are kind of pretty buried right now. So I'm rather grateful that I think I'm going to be able to finish the stream out on the tank that we've got, because it would take me some effort to pick out the tanks. So I'm going to have to unbury them tomorrow, I think. All right, let's do another heat. A single tank challenge, exactly. It's almost guaranteed if you spend your emergency fund on something else, an emergency will occur. However, if you don't spend it, nothing will happen. However, you could look at the furnace repair as an emergency fund upgrade, and then that will be the correct usage for it. Yeah, and we definitely will get the furnace fixed up when it's needed, but we're getting to the point where it's almost springtime, so I am probably actually going to wait a bit. Wait a little bit closer to like the end of summer and the beginning of fall. It still gets really hot here in the late summer and early fall, but it would be nice to have it done before people get really booked up doing furnace checkups, and like, when it actually starts getting cold. I like the length of this neck. Strain it out just a little bit, but yeah, we're getting a pretty decent length there. Pretty happy with that. And let's compare. We've got a little bit further to go, and because like my goal is to get it about the width of the face of my anvil so I can kind of straighten it out a little bit. And so yeah, that's the current goal. But yeah, it is definitely one of those things where every time I you know, buy something really expensive and kind of start dipping into that emergency fund, that is exactly when something happens to something, you know, like a tree falls or the sump pump fails or I have to get a furnace technician in or, you know, any number of different things. So we like to have, you know, an emergency fund set up and then we are specifically saving for this item fund, if that makes sense. Just to point this out, remember, other people may be thinking the same as you are. Other people may think we'll wait till the end of the year when they are more likely not to need it or to need it. I'm not telling you how to spend your money. For the fiddle, sorry I'm late. I hope you didn't need anything or need me anything for me. Hey, Fourth, welcome to the stream. As you can see, we have rearranged the shop. We're not completely finished yet. We've got a whole corner over here that we've got to finish cleaning next weekend, but we've got a functional streaming setup at the moment, and I'm really happy with it. I'm pretty thrilled. I have also fixed my sound, so I don't change sound from the two cameras anymore. Oh, Curie is raiding. Welcome in, raiders. Welcome in. Thank you so much for the raid, Curie. Yay! Let's do a shout out. Yes, thank you so much. We spent all weekend working on rearranging. I think it is so much easier now to move around and to stream. Whoops. One of these days, I will be able to type correctly. There we go. Awesome. Yeah, so we spent all weekend rearranging the shop. We flipped it so now you guys aren't looking at the garage door anymore. You've got this door. This is actually the door that hides my cold shop where I have my jeweler's bench. So eventually we'll go in there, but right now some of the stuff that was here I just shoved it in there so that it was out of my way. Everything has a place, it just needs to be put in place. So eventually, maybe we'll get some jewelry going in here as well. But for the moment, we are doing some tongs. We are currently working on the neck of a set of tongs. We've already drawn out the handles, the reins, and so we've made a really nice set of jaws, and we are establishing that boss and making the neck section. We're making bolt tongs today. So welcome in, everybody. I'm so happy to see you. Let's see. It's like my workshop. Everything has its place, but some things some things has its place in that pile over there, and other things have their place in that pile over there. Exactly. I'm a little lost, but I'll figure it out. So yeah, we are creating. Here, let me actually show you. This is a cold piece of steel, so we're making a set of tongs, just like these guys. So this is half of it, and the other half is in the forge right now. So these are the handles, so the section right here. And we are currently establishing the jaws, and this is called a boss. This is the pivoting section where the rivet goes in a set of tongs. So what we have done is taken this over to the press over here, and we've squished it between this area and this area to try, or kind of make this like little curved area. So once we're finished with that side, we'll work on this side. You just have to know which pile it's in and which height the rest is, or the rest is patient. Exactly. I'm exactly like that. I have this habit of when I'm done using a tool, I'll just set it on a surface, and I know exactly where that tool is. You know, it's on that surface, and I know approximately where on the surface I put it. So if I put something else on top of it, I know that the first thing is still over there. So, you know, if someone were to come in here and be like, Ray, I need you to go find such and such a tool, I could actually find it relatively quickly, but it looks like a disaster, you know, half the time in here. So it looks like we've heated up pretty well. We are about to do another heat, and I'm happy to say that I have fixed my sound issues. So we are on the same mic, whether we are on the wide camera or the close-up camera now, and I'm so excited. It was like this $10 part. It's just like a little Y adapter thing, and so I got a hold of one, and it works. Worst thing you can do is tidy up. You won't find anything anymore. Exactly. And it's even worse when someone else tries to clean up your shop for you. Because then it's like, at least when you clean up, you know where things are supposed to go. But when someone else cleans up for you, it's like they don't know where anything goes. So, you know, good luck finding anything. All right, here we go. So we've got a little twist that's happening. The corners are starting to twist a little bit. So we're going to have to take it over to the horn of the anvil and kind of straighten that out in our next heat. I know where it is. It is in the workshop. Yep. Can always do a movable tool rack, so you can always have them nearby. But you can also move it if it needs to get out of the way. I'm one of those people myself who keeps forgetting where I place my tools. So I made a rack everywhere. Oh, I made racks everywhere. so I can. Yes, this guy right here is completely movable. It just kind of slides along the ground. I could move it anywhere I needed to. I'd probably have to take some of the heavier hammers off in order to make it move without breaking, because I did just kind of make it out of like, you know, framing wood. But yeah, I could just move it anywhere I need. I think it looks kind of nice here. I didn't notice it all the tongs. Yeah, there's like a million tongs over here, and then all of these hammers. I love this hammer rack. I need to make a second one because I'm starting to get enough tongs now that they just don't all have a place on the rack anymore. And I have more hammers than this that are just like all over the house, and I need to bring them back out here. And so I need another hammer rack. So Maybe we'll do that as a project sometime. A new hammer rack. I definitely am going to be doing a standalone iron rack, so I can take all of my like 10-foot sections of stock and put them away. The walls themselves aren't really like the joists are, but they're not close enough together on this wall to put all of my heavy steel on them. So I'm going to do a freestanding steel rack, and I'm really excited about that because then I'll be able to get them all off of the floor. Right now, they're actually in the center of the area behind the cameras, like kind of angled all over the floor, so they're a tripping hazard. And I need to move them where they're gonna go, but I need a rack too. There are never enough racks, just as there are never enough tongs. Exactly. Always, always could use more racks and more, shelves. So yes, we're gonna make some on this channel eventually. But yeah, I think our next project is actually going to be making a sign to go on the wall above the forge, because I think it would be really cool. I'd like to actually put a light on or make a sign with a light so that we can with LEDs, and we can kind of change the colors and stuff. And then we're also going to start putting some of our projects up on this wall. So we've got the paperclip that's going to go up there, and maybe we'll do some more other sorts of projects. Like, I don't know, we might be able to put our silverware up there. We'll see. More drawers, please. I need more boxes too. I mean, always. And it's like in my jeweler's bench, there are like, I have filled all of my drawers, and it's just garbage in there half the time. Like, I have, used sections of sandpaper in there along with files and all kinds of stuff, Dremel and flick shaft bits that are, used up. Sometimes they don't make it into the trash can. I really need to clean up my jeweler's bench. I mean, I feel like it's always, time to clean out the jeweler's bench, but you never have enough time, right? I have also found that there are never enough hooks. Yeah, but I mean, the beauty of being a blacksmith is that I get to make as many hooks as I want. Hooks are really easy. I mean, if I just want like an S hook or something, I can do that in a couple of different heats. If I want something fancier, it's going to take me a little bit longer, but I can definitely do any sort of hook within, 3 hours or so. So that's always really nice. Pretty much, yeah. Anytime I need a hook, it's just, just as easy to make it. Sometimes I end up buying them because I'm being lazy, but the ones that I buy are never as good as the ones that I make. So, one of these days I'm just gonna like be able to hammer them out really, really quick and just use those. But yeah, never enough hooks, shelves, drawers, surface space. Maybe I need a rack with my desktop set up so I can just have it filled with S hooks. Yeah. So I have a blue, I think it's like it's one of those steel tool chests, and it's on rollers, and I took it from my cold shop and I brought it in here, and that's what I've got my laptop on now that's running my OBS for the stream. So it's over here, and it's beautiful because before I just had this like little square dealio that was barely had a profile big enough for the laptop. Need to head out. See y'all later. Take care. I hope to do streaming from my shop this week. Need to finish my project for my bride. Take care. Bye, Dan. Have fun. See you later. I will totally look for you to stream. My grandpa had so many old worn tools, just had to squeeze them a little tighter and spend a little more time. Yep. I mean, the guy that owned this shop before me, he was a woodworker and he passed away, and like his family didn't really clean all of the stuff out of this shop, so like there are so many weird tools just laying around. So it's been interesting finding some of the stuff as we've been, because we took everything out of the shop in order to set it up purpose built for our stream and for my actual like workspace. And it's been interesting seeing all of the different things. Like there, before we moved the press here, on the wall over there was like this, like, I don't know, it was like a plastic thing that was attached to the wall, and it had a whole bunch of drum sander, like sanding bits on it. And it was like, what is this? It took me a while to figure it out. But yeah, so it's always been interesting finding old tools. I love going to antique stores and finding old tools, especially if they're ones that I can use. Some of the best blacksmithing hammers I've ever had, I bought at antique shops and I just refaced them, and they're all on my, on my rack. And I mean, this guy I got out of my grandfather's barn, after he passed away, I love old tools. It might be worth researching. Some of those old tools and some of the vintage tools are worth a lot of money. Yeah, I mean, I could, or I could just put them back into service, I love tools. If I can use it, I'll keep it. I'll put it in service. All right, let's do another heat. Wait, what was I going to? Oh, yeah. I am actually going to move the close-up camera to the anvil real fast because I want to do a little bit of cleaning up on the neck of this to kind of straighten it out a little bit. So I'm going to do that real fast. And we might have a little bit of scuff here for a second because I kind of got to figure out where to put it, because this is the first time I have used this setup. So I apologize for said scuff. So you'll probably see me, moving the camera and all this. All right, let's see. Now I think over here is probably going to be my best bet. And then I'm going to plug this in over here. Maybe I don't tangle my cords with my tripods. There we go. Turn that on. Let's see if I can actually put it on the anvil. Okay, it's a little bit too close here. There, that's much better. Now if I can get out of this mess I've made. Ugh. All right. No rush. Oh my God, we're seeing you moving the camera, the humanity. How will I ever stop? How will we ever forget such a terrible thing? Exactly. Okay. So I think that this is an all right view. I hope you guys are okay with that. It's not that different than the previous anvil cam that we had. Ray the gymnast. All right, here we go. It doesn't look too bad. I looked at it. Okay, so and really what I came over here for was to work a little bit on these corners. Right now we've lost our right angles, and we're getting two acute angles and two obtuse angles. So I'm kind of trying to correct that by hammering back on these corners, and that way we can actually take it back to 90. So we'll probably do like one more heat of this. We're kind of also straightening it out a little bit. getting rid of all of those lumps and bumps. And the crinkle cut fry look, that's what I have lovingly dubbed the round die look. So we'll do one more heat that way, or at the anvil. Well, I can send you my picture beating a trauma with an even bigger trauma. I don't know. I think people are beautiful, no matter how they look, in their own way. Ah, need some more water. Well, I mean, I've got about half a thing, so I think I'm all right, but yeah. So it is just cool enough in here that I still feel like I need my sweatshirt, but it's just warm enough that I don't want it like over my wrists and like my forearms. So I keep trying to like pull them up and stuff, and then they keep coming down. So I don't know. I feel like my arms from like my shoulder to like about here always get really, really cold. And then the rest of me is like, I don't need the sweatshirt, but this area always gets really cold. I feel like maybe I need to like buy some 3/4 length shirts or something. One of these days, I'm gonna get down and actually design myself a clothing line, because I feel like women's pants don't have deep enough pockets, but I don't really, men's pants just don't fit quite right. So one of these days, I'm gonna make myself a line of clothing, and they're gonna be 3/4 length shirts and girl pants with large pockets. I had crinkle cut fries and my chicken wings yesterday. There's a time and a place for everything. Ray the tailor. I mean, I've done tailoring work before, but I don't think that I would want to actively make the patterning for my clothing. I don't know. Maybe I would have to. I'd have to research it, I guess. But yes, I love crinkle cut fries. We have crinkle cut fries in the freezer right now. Occasionally, we will make them with like steaks or burgers. It's really good. We have this tendency to kind of rotate our potatoes. We've got French fries, and then there's like these, garlic and basil half-cut red potatoes that we do, and then like garlic and rosemary is really good. And then occasionally we'll have mashed potatoes. So we kind of rotate our potatoes. Fancy cargo pants, let's go. My wife might pants like that. Okay, I'll rephrase. Ray, the fashion designer. I could do that. See, I could design the pants and then have somebody else sew them for me. But yeah, I mean, women's pants, they just don't have pockets. Like, I can barely put my wallet and my keys in my pockets with my girl pants. And then I just got fed up one day, and I was like, I looked at my partner, I was like, I'm not going to buy girl jeans anymore. I'm going to buy guy jeans. And so that's what we've been doing. Every time I lose another pair of pants, we get a new set of guy pants. And, they're all right. But, I mean, look at this. I can almost put half my forearm in these pants. It's crazy. It's barely this much of my hand in the girl pants pockets. We need more pockets in pants for women. It's ridiculous that women don't get pockets. I agree, man. I agree. And I really think it's, a collaboration between the clothing brands and the purse makers. Because if you don't have big enough pockets, then you're forced to use a purse, right? And then, purse manufacturers, they're just like, ooh, money, money. So I don't know. There's probably a real answer out there somewhere, but that is my, tinfoil hat theory. That's actually funny, potential brand. All pockets. Yeah, all pockets. And it would be great if they were extra durable too. Like women's pants, like most of them are half made out of like spandex and like acrylic cloth. And so many of them, they're just not durable at all. The amount of pants that I go through because I'm a blacksmith and I'm rough and tumble and I'm carrying and picking things up and like hanging out by heat all the time, I go through so many pants, so many pants. All Pockets presents durable line, exactly. And I mean, I feel like there should be, more pants out there. Like I know that Dickies has a women's clothing line, but I still feel like even that brand, they just aren't the same, as the men's lines. So I don't know. It's like when women get to or go to get a haircut, because I'm fortunate when a guy goes to get a haircut, they just say chopped the damn stuff off. Yeah, it's like haircuts for women are so much more expensive than they are for men. It's like if I go to the haircut and I'm just like, oh, just trim the bottom of it. I just want a couple inches off and trim. It's still like stupid expensive. But then when a guy goes, it's like $20. Just use a little like, electric razor. If she gets bigger pockets, I can put my hands in them. Yeah. I mean, there's that. As long as it's, your significant other's hands and not like random people, that would be a little creepy. All right, let's do another heat, and we're going to continue straightening off this neck. I did forget to hit my record, so I'm probably going to say a little bit of the same stuff as I previously did. All righty. And there we go. So we are coming over to the horn of the anvil to kind of straighten out the neck of our tongs. Getting rid of all of those lumps and bumps created by the press. And it's also a great opportunity to true up all of the corners. Anytime you get a twist, you can hammer back on that twist and then reestablish your 90-degree corners on that. Yeah. It's getting really nice. I like that. All right. I'm going to take this and then I'm going to come over here and grab one of the sets of tongs that I'm kind of modeling these over. All right. So these guys are a little bit on the shorter side, so I think I'm going to draw this a little bit longer. We're definitely going to lengthen or we might want to lengthen the handles as well. But overall, I really like the shape that we've got going there. Oh, I need to go over here and press the button. There's actually a company in Finland who do offer quality cargo pants for women too. That's cool. I know that there are cargo pants for women out there, some places, but I feel like they're harder to find in the United States. I've been shopping at Rural King, which is like a city farm supply store, because there are two different types of farm supply stores in the United States, right? There are the city ones and there are the, farm ones. So you go to the farm ones and there's like many, many bushels worth of seeds for like planting full farms and things like that, fertilizers and like the large bulk items that you need for like your fields and stuff. And then in the city, you get your city farm supply stores, and that's where you get like your horse feed and your leashes and for your dogs, or your saddles, like your guns, bows and arrows, hunting things, and kind of like the other sorts of stuff that is, you use them in both the city and in the farming areas. So I go to a city farm supply store to buy my clothes. Now I do, at least. And it's actually been relatively good. But they don't actually have any cargo pants. Most of the work pants that they have, they're just like straight legs and they just have girl pockets. So I've been shopping in the guys section to get cargo pants. But because I really like being able to try on pants. So it's hard for me when I'm ordering clothes because I have a really odd body shape. I'm really small, but I also have some larger areas. And so, it's a lot easier for me to go into a store, go in and try on the clothes, whereas, have them shipped to me and then try them on and then have to like return them. Still sounds weird to a European. Dog leashes and saddles and guns. I can imagine. I mean, I know that like especially guns are illegal in most of Europe for anyone who's not like law enforcement or military. But yeah, there's just a lot of farmland around, and there's a reason that guns are legal in the United States. It's just most of the news stories that you hear about owning guns, like the really bad ones, I mean, those are kind of the outlier stories. Most people who have firearms, it's really so that they can like scare off like coyotes and like large animals and things. So there is a need for them. It's just, it's not just about, arming myself. So. All right. I am actually going to move the other camera back to the press so that we can do a couple more heats on the press. And it looks like we've got about, we've done about in 2 hours and 15 minutes. So we're starting to run through our time, but I really would like to finish the neck on this piece so that we can start fresh on the neck of the other piece on Wednesday and finish up both of those sides. So we might go a little bit longer today, even though I said I didn't want to. Today I'm a little bit tired, but I really, really need to make sure that I'm at a good stopping point today. Let's see. So we got a little ways to go, I think. Alrighty. Turn this guy on. And now we'll aim it correctly. I actually really like this view. I think it's pretty decent. Okay. Let's see. I will hit record on that. And then we are good to go. All right. I need to turn that around. We're not going to put too terribly much pressure on this neck we're not really trying to squeeze it all that much. We're just kind of trying to make this a little bit skinnier and a little bit longer. We don't have much to go, so we're going to be really quick about it. We're going to turn it 90 degrees, and it looks like it's getting a little bit on the colder side, so we probably won't get all the way through. Yeah, and it looks like we need some more heat. So we'll put this back in the forge. Man, I keep talking, and I really hope that you guys can hear me. At the press, because I can barely hear myself. And I've got the sound canceling headphones on. Goodness gracious. Yeah. All right, Confused Walking Smith, thank you so much for your follow. I think I missed you. You were 31 minutes ago, it says. So thank you so much for that follow, and I hope I didn't miss you. Yes, the sound is fairly okay. I can hear you. Excellent. I'm glad. I have the, it's like, what is it? It's like external sound dampening. So it takes all of the like superfluous sounds and it kind of focuses on my voice. And yeah, so I'm glad that you guys can hear me really well. I was really concerned about my sound for a really long time, and I fought it for months. And I'm so glad that we've got it actually like functional. So thank you so much. King Sticky Icky, thank you so much for that follow. I watched you, or I watched that notification come. So thank you so much for that follow. I love watching our community grow, and I love being here on Twitch. You guys have been so welcoming. Thank you so much. All right. Streaming has gotten so fun. I love talking to you guys. It's really gratifying that like I'm actually, you know, there are people who actually want to watch me. When I first started, I was uncertain that we were actually going to get, you know, any viewers at all and be able to start making a community. And you guys have consistently come and join us, and it makes me so happy that people are interested in the blacksmithing. And I hope I make it entertaining for you. So, yeah. Let's see. So for our next heat, what we're going to do is we are going to turn our piece 90 degrees and work on the sides. We've kind of worked on the top. Now we're going to turn it 90 degrees, work on the sides. I told you back then that it takes time and patience. It does. And I mean, time and patience, it's, you know, slowly paying off. So, yeah. All right, so I'm gonna pull this out of the heat and we're gonna take it back to the press. It's like gardening. It needs its time. It does. And I feel like everything needs time and patience. You know, you don't get to do things in real life in a montage like you can on TV. You know, sometimes it's not fair and I don't really like it. You know, I wish I could do some things in a montage, but, you know, then you wouldn't really be earning it. And besides, we'd be missing all of the fun along the way. All right, so we are continuing on the 90 degrees, lengthening this out, making it just a little bit with his neck, but I want to make it just a little bit thinner and longer. So for our next heat, we're going to kind of focus on the ripple. And I'm going to put this back in the forge because it's not cooperating. There we go. These are the tongs that I'm actually replacing with this set. So you can tell why I need to replace them. You do educational blacksmithing very well. I try very hard. And part of the reason that I feel like it is so important for me to teach, be very educational with my blacksmithing is that when I first started blacksmithing, I would come to, fellow smiths' shops and they would instruct me and teach me whatever they could, but sometimes I didn't quite catch all of the concepts. And I had to ask a lot of questions. And sometimes the blacksmiths that my instructors, they wouldn't quite understand how to explain the things that are in a way that helped me think about it. And I mean, that's not knocking them at all, but sometimes it is harder to be able to explain things that you've just been doing and taking for granted for years. And sometimes it's really hard to, be able to put into words things that you've just are more like muscle memory actions. So I think for me, because I try to maintain the ability to explain what I'm doing and as simple as or as complex terms as possible at a moment's notice. And sometimes I don't have the the ability to explain things, but I feel like it's very important for me to look things up if I don't know them. And I greatly appreciate all of the knowledge that was imparted to me by my instructors. So I want to give back to the blacksmithing community any way that I can. And, I hope that my methods of teaching are, a different but also informative way of explaining things. Asking questions is an imperative part of the learning process. I mean, it is. And I love answering questions. It's my favorite thing about the stream is just answering random blacksmithing questions. I like even the simplistic, the most simple questions. I love answering it because, it's just a reminder that, and education is so important, especially in the dying crafts. There are so many crafts that are dying in this world. And I don't want blacksmithing to go that direction. So, as much as I can, I want to answer, I want to explain. And if there's ever a time that I don't explain things properly, just let me know and I will change the way I'm explaining it. I did the same when I started driving trains. It was like a sci-fi at first. Yeah, and I mean, some people just aren't prepared to answer the questions in the way that someone is, asking them. So, I try my best, and if I don't know the answer, I will look it up and I'll have the answer for you on my next stream. Sometimes you'll have to remind me, but I will have the answer at the next stream. So yeah. All right. I am going to do another 2 heats, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to focus on those raised sections. You kind of get these nice like curved divots that are created by the round dies on the press. And so those raised sections, I'm going to focus on those to kind of push those down as well. And that's where we're going to get a lot of length from for these pieces. So that is our next 2 heats, I think. And then from there, we're going to go back to the horn and flatten everything all out and make it nice and true and straight. Guys, I kind of think that this view is actually better than the view that you guys had previously before I rearranged the shop, because before my elbow kept getting in the way of the jaws because the camera was on that side, and so I flipped the direction that the camera is, and I've had to flip the dies. But I think this works a lot better. All right. Ugh. And I kind of have done both sides in that last heat, so I might actually come back over to the anvil and use that horn to straighten it out a little bit, make it a little bit longer. But yeah, we're making good progress. I'm really happy with this. I may get to work with my son on his forge, or I'll just fantasize about it. I'm entertained either way. Thank you. 2 tongs don't make it right. Welcome in, Shell Shock. Yeah, I'm glad that it's entertaining. Blacksmithing is such an interesting thing to look at. I mean, there's a reason that anytime that there is a medieval movie, they always show a blacksmith, even for like just a shot, because blacksmithing is just so entertaining, I feel like. When I first came onto, Twitch, I was like, well, I have a built-in audience because blacksmithing, the fire and the sparks, that's cool. So I've got that, but I have to entertain people by speaking and, being able to like talk to people on camera. So, and I feel like that's a skill that I'm still developing, being entertaining. So I'm working on it. I'm getting better over time. I do still say ah, and a lot though. Trying really hard to correct that, but there I go again. I start thinking about it and I do it worse. All right, so I think for our next heat, we're gonna come back over to the horn of the anvil. I don't think that I'm actually gonna move the anvil cam over. I'm just gonna do it on the stand-up camera. Hopefully it's not too bad. I will, for the first heat, I'm not gonna move the camera. If it's too hard for you guys to see what I'm doing from the stand-up camera, let me know and I will move that other camera. But I'm thinking about 1 or 2 more heats. Well, I guess more like 2 or 3 more heats, and we'll probably be done for the day. I am starting to get a little bit tired. Like I said, I spent all weekend rearranging the shop, and I didn't get a lot of rest. So I'm definitely looking forward to my break day on Tuesday. I never thought that I would say, or that I would hear myself say, that I'm looking forward to editing videos, though, because that's what I do on my break days. I edit videos. So yeah, but really, I'm actually looking forward to editing videos. And speaking of videos, I do have a new video coming out on YouTube on Wednesday. That'll be out at 4 a.m. on Eastern time, Eastern US time. It's 5 a.m. Central Standard, which is the time zone that I'm in. But yeah, that's going to be on the stainless steel table knife that we did a few weeks ago. And so that one comes out this week. And then next week, I'm working on our basic blacksmith hook job that we did, or project that we did. So those are our next few videos. They will be coming out. Oh, I need to keep that going. I forgot. I don't need to move that. All right, so we're going to the horn of the anvil. All right, I think I'm going to do another heat. What I really want to do is focus on this thick section back here. It's nice and thin over here, and I'm really liking that, but it's kind of thicker on this side. So I'm going to put it back and heat it up, and then we're going to focus on this back section. I have to go now. My eyes are shutting on their own. So goodbye, good night, and see you some other time. Have a good night, Dark. Sleep well. And I'll see you later. Thank you for joining us today. So I think this next heat's going to be my last heat for the day. And then we're going to raid off. So if anybody has any suggestions for who they want to watch, let me know. Otherwise, I will find somebody. Maybe there'll be someone new. We'll see. Glenn Echo Glass was on last I knew. He usually streams for quite a while, so we might raid him. I also saw John was streaming, but he streamed earlier today, and then just before I started, I didn't see him on anymore, so he might be done for the day. But if you guys have anybody that you'd like to watch, to raid to, let me know. Otherwise, I'll find somebody. We might find somebody new. All right. We are ready. And like I said, we are going to focus on the back. There's a little bit of extra thickness that I want to take care of. So we're going to go on all 4 sides so that we can make sure that we keep this all nice and flat and even. Nice. I'm liking this quite a lot. And we will probably want to finesse this a little bit further in another stream. But for the moment, I think that's really nice. I'm pretty happy with that. So if I take this guy and I bring over another set of tongs for comparison, I mean, look at that. That's not terrible. Got a little bit of meat back here that I want to take care of, lengthen out those reins a little bit further, but overall, I'm pretty happy. I'm pretty happy. Alrighty. Looks like I got an ad starting soon, so I really apologize for, starting my outro when the raid is when the ad is starting. Okay. So I apologize for adding and going, but yeah. Thank you all for joining me today. You have been lovely, and I will be back on Wednesday. Thank you so much for joining me and helping me test out my brand new shop orientation. Let's see, who is streaming right now? Let's go hang out with Glenn Echo. Whoops. What am I doing? Glencoe Glass is online and streaming. He's a glass blower. He's a great guy. And once again, thank you so much for joining me today. I've had so much fun.